lot of farmers in New York State, they're right on the breaking point. I mean, we need a good crop here, but we also need the price of milk to go up some more.
New legislation is being introduced in Washington to help out struggling dairy farmers. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is calling on lawmakers to seriously consider changes to help ease the financial burden on farming. Good evening, everyone. I'm Renata Steele. Thanks for joining us here on WENY HD News at 11. Well, the U.S. Senate passed a new 5-year farm bill last June, but the House never voted on it. The farm bill from 2008 was simply extended into this September. Now, Gillibrand's new plan hits on pricing for small farmers, inventory reporting, and transparency of information. WENY's Tanja Rekhi spoke to a local dairy farmer today and joins us live with more. Tanja?
Renata, the dairy farmer I spoke to has been in the business for 30 years, so he's seen it all and is really feeling the pinch like lots of other farmers in the area.
Scott Bush has 80 to 90 cows on his farm in Elmira. He says he and other farmers are struggling just to feed their herds. Dairy farmers across the state are being forced to cut resources or dip into other sources of food for their cows. Bottom line, the price of milk needs to go up for these farmers to make ends meet.
Right now, the dairy farmers in New York State, they're having a hard time. The price of grains are high, the price of fuel, electricity has all gone up quite a bit, and the price of milk has just kind of stayed so-so.
According to the Department of Agriculture, the Southern Tier has lost 9,000 cows since 2002. Senator Gillibrand's dairy agenda calls for long-term support and certainty for dairy farmers. The 4 key points she'd like to address have to do with pricing, income fairness, inventory reporting, and availability of information for farmers. Lawmakers are set to battle out the Farm Bill on Monday, April 8th when they return to Washington.
Everything is going up a lot faster than what the price of milk is going up. And we keep making it more efficient, but it gets to the point where you're as efficient as you can be. If it still don't work at that point, that's when people go out of business.
Not to mention a demand for milk for yogurt production. Scott says he thinks farmers are having a hard enough time to make a profit off the milk they sell. But if dairy farmers get paid more per hundredweight, more people might stay in farming and add on more cows, so there's enough milk for all the yogurt plants in New York.
Farmers argue that if things don't change, dairy products may soon have to be imported from other countries. Reporting live, Tanja Rekhi, WENY HD News. Well, Renata, we're talking $4 billion in cuts nationwide, and that's just in the Senate version. These cuts impact senior citizens, people struggling to make ends meet, working 2 jobs, single parents, the list goes on.
What does poverty look like? A single parent working overtime to get food on the table, a grandparent living off a fixed income after years of work.
When Congress proposes to cut the food stamp program, it is not a nameless, faceless person looking for a handout.
According to the Chemung County Department of Social Services, 7,700 households receive SNAP benefits. That's 15,000 people. People like Randy Quackenbush, an AmeriCorps volunteer, living off an $11,000 stipend.
You might see me in the grocery store with my iPhone and driving around my parents' car, but I am on food stamps, and I am, it's because of the support of my family that I am able to survive on this stipend this year, and the food stamps are actually lifting me above the poverty line.
The Farm Bill headed for a vote in the Senate cuts $4 billion from food stamp funding, otherwise known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP.
Many people think, SNAP benefits, that's for people who don't really work hard in life or don't really, care about getting out and getting a job, but that's not the case at all.
Doretha Watterson is the Commissioner of Human Services for Chemung County. She's keeping a close eye on the Farm Bill because she knows it'll have a major impact on her clients.
Folks will have less money to spend on food, and that will put an addition, unless there are more jobs available, which is what we all hope for, including the folks who receive food stamps, there'll be more of a burden on our food pantries.
Now, it could still take a month for the House to take up its version of the bill, which includes $20 billion in SNAP cuts. Tanja Rekhi, WENY HD News. Well, Renata, the Senate's version of the bill would help farmers break even in dire situations, but local dairy farmers say they need more.
Since the old Farm Bill expired, a lot of local farmers have been waiting to see how much the government would help them over the next 5 years with the passage of a new bill.
Did we get things in the Farm Bill we wanted? Yes. Do we want to thank Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand for voting for it? Yes. We didn't get everything we wanted.
The Senate's version of the bill gets rid of about $5 billion a year in direct payments to farmers and creates insurance programs for safety if crop prices dip too low.
I'm not going to complain about anything because compared to what we had, we got more, and we got insurance for the specialty crop people.
Dairy farmers here in the southern tier say the Senate's version of the Farm Bill doesn't quite help them out that much. What they're hoping for from the House version is an increase in the price of milk per hundredweight.
Supporters of the Senate bill say by eliminating subsidies and replacing them with insurance, federal money will only go to farmers who need help when they need it. It also includes a mechanism that allows production cuts when oversupply drives prices down. Dairy farmers would like to see more assurances in the House version of the bill.
Put a margin in there so the dairy farmers can always make money, not to depend on insurance or support payments or any of that stuff. Just get the price of milk up where it should be, and then the farmers will make money, and New York would be the capital of the yogurt plants.
We're really back at square one, which is a real shame.
It's back to the drawing board for Senate and House leaders to once again battle it out over the Farm Bill. The major sticking point has been food stamps. The House formerly cutting funding by $20 billion and the Senate slashing $4 billion. And now a House bill that passed Thursday eliminated the funding altogether.
It's a huge difference, and frankly, it's a moral issue, and I disagree with them vehemently that they should stop feeding kids who are hungry in this country.
The House in general has not been governing this country in quite a while, and I think it's just another egregious step in their mismanagement of the country.
By gutting the food programs out of the Farm Bill and then allocating that money to additional subsidies of large rice, peanut, and cotton farmers is mean-spirited. There's no other way to put it. It really is mean-spirited for children and families who rely on the nutrition programs for their basic nutrition.
Getting fresh, wholesome, local foods into the hands of those that are in need, that's certainly a priority for us.
And Senator Gillibrand says it's a priority for her, too. Here in Elmira, Catholic Charities is bringing the issue of hunger to the forefront. Their Empty Bowls luncheon has been running for 8 years straight. It's where they raise a bulk of their money to help people struggling with poverty, providing food, shelter, and life skills.
Last year we served about 5,000 people, and they're not the normal, people that you might expect. They're working families, they are really trying to make ends meet.
Over 300 people came to today's luncheon at $30 a bowl, but programs like this only supplement government programs like food stamps or SNAP.
We're already seeing a huge number of people accessing SNAP, but also needing some supplement at the end of the month. So we do that fill right now. I can only imagine it would go up drastically without SNAP in place.
In Chemung County, over 13,000 people live in poverty. Amanda Domineski was one of them. She's a single mom with 2 sons.
I definitely don't think that SNAP should be cut because I know myself that if it wasn't for that program, my children and I wouldn't have been able to have food that we needed because I was going to school while I was raising them.
She put herself through school and now works for Arnott Health.
I went through a lot of struggles. If it wasn't for the programs that we have in our community and for my friends and family, I wouldn't have made it to where I'm at today.
And it's not just the government shutdown and farm bill debate threatening food stamps. Stimulus money for SNAP benefits is set to expire next month, and the House of Representatives recently voted to cut food assistance by $39 billion over 10 years.
Come Friday, $5 billion in automatic cuts will kick in nationwide on SNAP benefits, better known as food stamps.
And it's going to have an impact on thousands of families in the southern tier. WENY's Tanja Rekhi's been following the potential cuts and joins us with the story. Tanja?
Renata and Scott, 48 million food stamp recipients are going to see cuts to their benefits. Here in Chemung County, 6,500 families will be impacted.
Come Friday, minor cuts will make a major difference to millions of families who rely on support from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, to provide themselves and their families with healthy and nutritious food. People like Eric Hurlbert, who's trying hard to get back into full-time work, are going to have to make do with less.
I've worked retail my whole life, and working 32, 38 hours a week, paychecks aren't that great anyway. And when they're cutting our food stamps now, it just makes it that much harder for me and my family.
The 2009 American Reinvestment and Recovery Act law will expire Friday. It had raised the monthly SNAP benefits to help people get through the recession. Single people like Eric will lose $11 in SNAP benefits a month. The cuts rise with family size, so a family of 4 will get $36 less each month.
And to some people that might not seem like a lot, but if you're utilizing SNAP benefits and depending on them for your family, then can be a hardship for some people.
I mean, $11, you can go to even Dollar Tree, Aldi's, and that's 1 or 2 meals if you know how to stretch it. So it's putting a lot of people, hard-working people, in a bind.
As it stands today, the average SNAP recipient gets enough to spend about $2.20 per meal. The cuts will bring that per meal average down below $1.40. And as the holidays get closer, every penny matters.
It's less that we can do for each other around the holidays, especially for the kids.
And tomorrow, members of Congress will begin meeting to hammer out the details on the Farm Bill, which the SNAP program falls under. Tanja, Rekhi, WENY News.
Just 1 day remains before families relying on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, will have to do more with less.
Food is a basic human need.
But supplemental funding for that necessity is being challenged due to an expiring extension meant to help people out during the recession.
I'm not sure exactly who they're referring to, because for a lot of people the recession is still happening.
The food bank of the Southern Tier works with places like the Samaritan Center. They provide food like soup and vegetables to over 50 families a day. They fear those numbers are only going to go up as SNAP cuts kick in.
What's in the grocery stores is so expensive, and it eats up their food stamps, practically after the first time they've gone grocery shopping for the month. So they are frustrated and can't imagine living with even a bigger cut.
Amy Hobart is a single mom with 2 kids. She says they run out of money and benefits before the month ends. She has a joint condition and can't work. Her family will lose close to $350 a year.
It's just a struggle, day to day, to get through to have to feed people, and it shouldn't be like that.
Susanna Fritz says some people relying on the Samaritan Center use food stamps, but not all of them do. With the expected cuts, she thinks new families might need the extra support.